Hello, hello, attention, attention. This is Truth Seekers Mastermind Alliance with your girl Lexus T and
Hector Rivera. What's going on? We haven't done one of these in a minute.
Heck versus Hell, where the truth he tells.
That's right.
Now we're doing this from roadside here. We wanted to see some beautiful sunset that God created. And I know it's been a while since you had them and you guys are really on the journey and we're both together here. This is not going to be something that's light. I want to dig into this. Now, it's going to be a part 2 to this because I want to do some more digging, but I want to put it out there as not just the precedent or the preset, but I want to present it out there for thought-provokingness, not to question things of negativity, but to explore the curiosity that God put within our minds. So, this conversation, you want to do the drum roll? Yes, we are side by side. But this conversation is, there's no label to give to it right now. I would say the conversation is the existence of God or beyond knowing. How about that? The beyond knowing series. Right. Yeah. Okay, so here is my thing. I
take us into it, Lex.
Yeah, growing up into, and maybe you guys can kind of come with this, but growing up into Seventh-day Adventistry, what I grew up in. Mm-hmm. And my mom journeyed throughout things and tried, Baptist, different ones, just journeyed throughout until God called her there. Now, I mean Seventh-day Adventist as far as what the principles are, not what you may have, those other who are familiar with it, believing in the seventh day and the basically every principle of the Bible itself, raw form, not the congregation that we deal with. And a lot of people can say that. People will represent the church as far as the people they deal with at the church. They don't look at the foundation of what they're doing, regardless if you're Protestant or Mormon. It doesn't matter. It's the point. Well, anyway, growing up into that, it was almost like it wasn't said, but sometimes you got corrected where it was like, oh, don't question God. Don't question the existence of God. Oh, it's a shame, or hey, ask for forgiveness. And I'm like, I used to hear people talk amongst themselves. I'm like, oh man. So I had a fear of God that later on, and I'm happy, the fear of the Lord now that I've known is so much more sweeter and better than the fear that I had as a child. Meaning, man, I have to comply with my parents, and now I have to comply with this unseen entity at the time, in a child's mind that created us all, that could just strike me down for something I did. And hearing different things of Revelation in the Bible as a child, you're thinking, man, this is one harsh God. Like, this is, he's harsh, but then
tough guy.
He's sweet. When you hear about Jesus, you're like, oh man, gentle as a lamb. And then you see the other side where it's like, oh, the Philistines, So I'm like, oh, okay. So jumping into that, and this is about Truth Seekers Mastermind Alliance. If it's the first time you're tuning in, it's about seeking the truth. It's the alliance of us coming together and our mastering our minds together. And it's not to put a seed of doubt or a seed of differentiating things that could not be, but it's a thought-provoking, like I said before. So welcome on the Real Double Dose channel. And bouncing back to that, I'll say this conversation, I was like, God, I pray that you forgive me because you know where I want to be, and it's always in your arms. How could you not want to be in the arms? It's not, oh, you guys believe in it. All this conversation going on. More people are for the Lord than the others, but they try to bark the loudest. Oh, well, you believe in some man-made or, from slavery point. It's about God, and that's what it is. Like, no matter who you try to paint on it, we know that there's a creator of all things. There is the creator of all things. You cannot doubt the sun and the moon and the star, regardless. There's a point to our creation, our veins, our blood, everything that makes sense and doesn't make sense. So, well, at least to us. So my thing is I ask myself, I'm like, God, the creator of the heavens and the universe. And I chewed upon this. I'm sorry you hear semi trucks in the back, but we can't help that. But I asked myself, I'm like, is this really something I want to bring to the people? Is it something? Heck, I'm just saying.
Right.
But, I think about it, I'm like, so what if God, and God, please forgive me if it is. I'm just not even looking from that point. I just don't want to do anything negative on that because I don't want to harm anybody. But it's just a curious conversation you would have over a campfire or some coffee. But God is the creator of the universe and all that is. The earth and everything. And that's what we know. The universe is we hear about it. We see it to a certain, hopefully man didn't mess with that either. But I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, what if God only knows God's existence within that realm? Like, God says there's no other God but me. And that is definitely true. But what if God doesn't have any awareness of anything outside of God? But on the other scope of that, there's trillions of worlds with that going on, with the God over that. And I think about this and people, oh, that's blasphemy, Lexus. No, it's not. It's curiosity of a question. And don't feel guilty about it. Read Romans, okay? The book of Romans, especially chapter 10 and 14. I'm just saying really on the, 1 Corinthians too. Though, I look at those things and I'm thinking to myself, man, that's a deep cut. So when I wrote, and I'm doing a series, and right now I have Lex Effect, RDDC working on that channel. It's going to be deeper conversations, deeper insight. Right now I'm working with the cinematics and kind of getting it started. And I'm going to have this on RDDC for TSMA sections too. But you have to wonder to yourself, even when we're writing a book series, right? I'm writing a book series. I've helped many people do it, especially one gentleman in particular. But along with the broadcast series, check that out. So when it's coming out, but you have to engulf yourself in the creation of books. You have to, in any writer, any spoken word, any written word, it's so much intent. And I think that's why a lot of people used to downplay books. It's so much power, not just an authoritative, hey, I'm out here wrote a book. It's so much power into creation of words. And to know that someone is hearing them and reading them. When I create my characters for the fiction, nonfiction, I call it, because it really is real in a different way. It's real in its own context of coming to fruition. Pero, like I said to say, but when it comes down to it, it's a universe that I created. Now, my characters don't know anybody outside of me. I can create them how I want them to be, how I want them to look, how I want them to feel. And once they're structured, and I'll teach you guys some deep diving on this, they will exist beyond you even controlling the mindset to think of them. Mine exists in a whole nother, I can literally pop into that world right now and see what my creations are doing without having the power, or should I say the knowledge, what is it called? The pre-concept, right, of going in there and making them be at a certain place. Like, I can feel them living life. And I'm telling you, you got to go deep if you really are into that work. If you're really about that. Yeah, that writing life, premeditation, yeah. That writing life or character development is really deep. Now, I can't say I created the bones and all this stuff from my own ideas, so it came from God. But they only know me. Point in case, they're one of my characters. Won't reveal that right now. But, and I thought this, right, for one, there was one different one, Lanya. She had a moment where the book was ghostwriting. Different ghostwriting, some people say spirits take over, I used to be able to write even in third grade. I think it was actually fourth grade or third grade, where I would write on the paper, and I literally, and the kids would be like, oh my goodness, she's writing without looking. And I would just look at the teacher up at front, and I would write on each line perfectly. It was almost like a typewriter going through, just boom, boom, boom. So I'm giving you context to all those things. So my character was praying, and like, not really, it was like a plead. It was more like, well, why did you make me? Why am I dealing with this? And I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? That was the character speaking of his evolution, of being conscious of itself in its realm that I created. And I'm telling you, it was like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, it's praying to me. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I have a creator. And then we think, well, if I created this, then who's the creator? So I just wanted to ask that. And, Heck's going to get his part on it. But I wanted to set the foundational point of where I'm coming from. And I don't mean to say that, oh, God is in delusion of knowing. No, absolutely not. But God knows things that our minds can't even comprehend. I mean, like, even to fathom God right now is so insane. My mom told me before, there's a lady who searched for God so long and so deep that she literally made herself go nuts. And she had to go to an insane asylum for a couple of years because she was just like, what is this? And you see the trees, you see the seeds, you see the plants. You see so much stuff, and you're trying to wrap your mind around it. And now we have social media. Now we have videos that show us even deeper scientific things and stuff we can share at the click of a button. We got the AI revolution coming out, and it's a big helper when you utilize what AI is instead of letting yourself feel like you're lost by it. But anyway, I'm setting that up to say maybe it's nothing to go deeper on for a part 2. Maybe it is. But have you ever, RDC families, HVH families, and Truth Secret Mastermind Alliance listeners, do you ever feel that? Do you ever think that? And if so, what does it make you feel? Or who are the other creators? I mean, even in the book, from different ones, I'm referencing Paul Wallace. I forgot something about Eden, the book he had, but I haven't never really gotten into it. Every time I start with him, for some reason, I really want to hone in, just like with Myron Golden, different ones, Sonny. I want to hone in and listen. I would put it on my listen later tab, but I never get to it later. But he was saying, I'm not going to get down that rabbit hole because it's a little deeper with Yahweh and all the other stuff, but it kind of makes you think, who exactly is it? Because God is love. And as he was referencing, Christ is about love and getting together. Not a pushover, not a person that doesn't have a voice. Jesus was straight gangster. Yeshua. Blessed be his name. So it's kind of like you wonder, who is the one? Is that true? I mean, God doesn't have to answer to us. God doesn't have to ask questions to us like that. So it's like, well, he could slaughter a whole town, babies, animals, everything. And we think, oh, this is our God, especially as a child mind. And then you hear about the love of Christ going around and being nothing but so ambient in love. Or is it the balance of yin and yang or whatever they call it, right? So that's where I'm at with it. Thank you, Mr. Heck versus Hell and Truth Seekers Mastermind Alliance family of RDDC. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, you're not done. We're still going.
No. I just wanted to I don't want to talk too much, but I wanted to get out of my mind before my mind starts skipping and yeah.
I've had questions like that before too, and even though hearing it, I got kind of uncomfortable. That fear of the Lord kind of struck me, and I'm like, blasphemy?
Yeah.
Question mark? And
it does.
So it made me a little bit uncomfortable. But that's the whole point of TSMA, is to explore it and go into places where people won't even venture off into. Like, we still want to bring different people on. I have a buddy that's from Mexico, and he tells me about gnomes, like how he's seen gnomes. They've tried to catch them and how you could feed them rice and beans, and he's seen them face to face, how there's certain skinwalkers and different conversations of things that really aren't talked about in the supernatural. And of course, we can always say that they are fallen angels and they are shapeshifters, which I believe that skinwalkers very well may be. But why aren't we made aware of more of these things, especially now that aliens are being disclosed in the CIA files? Footage is coming out to be truth, and it could be a huge deception, absolutely. But I truly believe that there are still fallen angels at work and at play. There has to be. There was a certain amount of angels that were locked up, but for the most part, there's still a lot that are still out here, not to mention the Nephilim, the spirits. Right, the dead spirits roaming the earth that we know as under different guises, under different sorceries kind of things, different spirits that torment people, that possess people. Mm-hmm. And, who knows what Legion was? I believe Legion was part of that dead Nephilim tribe.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that can possess. So what capabilities do the fallen angels have? Because there's really not a lot of talk about that whenever it comes to it. I know there is one where it says that they can fight spiritual battles. How whenever Daniel prayed up, he was over here fighting against a fallen angel for that prayer. So how far does the scope, that's what I'm saying, how far does the scope of what they can do? Can they manifest in front of you physically for our eyes to see in this full consciousness? And that's the type of questions that we need to ask and get answers to, because so many people don't want to even look outside the parameters of their small knowledge, limited to the book of history that is man-made and made for man, so that we can comprehend it to the levels that we can. I didn't even mean for that to rap, but it did to rhyme. But literally, I mean, that's kind of how it is, because so many people limit themselves to the 66 books that are in the Bible. Therefore, they discount other people that have more manuscripts, and therefore people are also discounting the books that the history books literally mention. The Chronicles of the Kings, Jubilees. What was it? There was another one that was about the kings, but there's many books in the Bible that are referenced outside of the quote unquote canonical 66 books. So whenever you stick yourself to that, you are limiting the revelation that you can allow yourself to receive from the Holy Spirit.
Let's take a quick break.
There comes a moment in life when you realize your story wasn't just survival, it was preparation. Every setback, every silent battle, every moment you wondered if you had anything left to give was building strength inside of you that was never meant to stay hidden. Because your story carries power, not performance, not noise, purpose. The kind of purpose that reaches people you may never meet, but desperately need to know that healing is still possible, that restoration is still real, that rising again is still within reach. That's why Story to Blessings was created, not as another stage, not as another spotlight for attention, but as a sacred space where lived experiences become living testimonies, where pain turns into wisdom, where survival becomes legacy, where voices once quiet rise with clarity and courage. Because when your story is shared with honesty, with heart, with truth, it doesn't just inspire, it ignites hope. And somewhere right now, someone is walking through what you already survived, waiting to hear how you made it through, how you kept going, how you found strength when everything felt uncertain. Your voice matters, your journey matters, and your story was never meant to stay buried in the past. It was meant to bless the future. So if something inside of you has been stirring, that quiet nudge, that sense that your story carries meaning, go discover more at www.realdoubledosechannel.com. Take a breath, take a look, and see what it could mean to turn your story into something that blesses others. Story to Blessings. Your story, your blessing, your legacy.
Yes, and I have some interjections I've been holding in my little pea pod. Just like that SpongeBob face where he's like, he wants to let it go. The revelation. But here's the thing. So I want to piggyback on that. Here's another concept of where we are. So I know we're bringing this together as well of the existence of God's knowing, the knowing, right? But what if, like Homelander, different ones they have, what if we're told, everyone, to like have this perception of superheroes? So we can be deceived by the fallen angels when they show up because we're like, everything we want to be is outside of human.
Absolutely.
Even, I love Twilight Saga. I love my series, but he's like, well, but this is, ugly. She's like, you look like diamonds shining in the sky. And I'm like, and she was like, oh, and he's like, and the guy who came after Bella in the first movie, don't want to spoil it for you, but he was like, it's so cruel the way, you're basically fragile in blood and just flesh. She could have made you immortal and hard to kill like us, basically, a superpower kind of thing. So my thing is, that was one concept. Okay, just saying, we want to be a superhero or a person with magical power so deep, but we don't even understand the depth of the power that we have for the simple fact we have the breath of God. And I remember before hearing this morning, it was like, we will even be judging angels, from that point.
Yep.
So I don't remember where the other part is. It was another part. See, I knew when I spilled it out my brain, I was going to forget the other parts, but it was something that was apart from that, but a part connected to it. So I don't know. I just know that when it comes down to, the book of Jasher. So I want to put a PSA out there, or a RSA, or RDDC PSA, and just say that I've been working on this whole biblical breakdown. It's not really a cheat code, but it's like to the nuts and bolts. And have the whole thing going on. I will be rolling out what our ministry's name is so you can come and be a part of those, and we'll have a channel set up for that. So when we go live or do different conversations, you can come, going from all the books of the Bible, even some of the missing books of the Ethiopian Bible here from these Bibles they have, and also the book of Jasher, the deeper books of Enoch. There's some other ones up there too, that Jubilees, all that, but there's some deep stuff I've been working on, everyone, and it's something deep to get into, not to drive you nuts, but I just wanted to put that out there from what Hector was saying about so many things going on in there. And I know I want to have to ask him, how do you feel about this, though? Like, how do you feel about the conversation opener from everything you just collaborized right now? How do you feel about that? No blaspheming open, because you're condemned, right? You're condemned by where you change yourself in your mind.
Absolutely.
From your belief system. Not to change anyone's belief system, but an open conversation that we're having because we are the breath of God.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel that could ever be possible?
I brought the question to myself and to God in prayer, but it just wouldn't make sense. To me, it wouldn't make sense, and
why?
That's where it's limited at that, because I am the beginning and the end. I am the Alpha and Omega. And then when it goes to the other theory that we have not released over there, whenever it comes to the dreamisions and dreamensions, we'll call it like that, it makes more sense to understand those, and it is because we can only see it. It is because we only have the limited perspective of what we can see. There is no way for us to confirm or deny whether that would be true, except to believe that God is God.
Well, absolutely.
And even the definition itself of God is like...
And I'm happy that you brought that up, because what I was going to say, we're getting into it. TSMA, we're firing this up. Raw, real, here, boom. Let's get it. So I am not refuting it. This is what the conversation is open for.
Yep.
Though everything is done by the imagination of our mind.
That's right.
So whether we believe that it's true or not, it's like that movie Sphere with Samuel Jackson. And I believe, I really loved her as an actor. Sharon Stone, Dustin Hoffman, and there was somebody else. I know Queen Latifah was on there. It's probably maybe the 1990s, I believe. Sphere, S-P, I can't even spell. Sphere, is it S-P-H-E-R-E?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm promoting this based on, I like the movie a lot, and it's basically some entity underwater, boom, their thoughts come together. But whether you believe, what does that thing say? If you believe you can't, you can't. If you believe you can, you can. So mine, I don't know, me asking Hector, I kind of feel like it was a double, triple entendre where he tried to point it back a little bit, like, oh, well, that's his brickstone thought, but he still has to understand that it's constantly open. You cannot say that you have a set in stone belief system all the way, because at any time that belief system can be changed.
Oh, absolutely.
In some way. You can
mine is like a shifting block. Honestly, I see so many things and visions of how I conceptualize ideas. And whenever it comes to my belief system, think of like a big pile of bricks where they're stacked wonderfully and only the outside edges are loose, and those are what's used to walk. So that's kind of how my belief system is, in the sense of I keep certain beliefs kind of open and open-minded if I haven't solidified it yet.
You can go so deep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I went so deep in a whole journey of understanding myself in California that I really got scared, because it almost let me believe that no or nothing was here.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a left,
that's
a left garden to tend itself, and all this inhabitants had to figure this thing out. And once we're off this trolley, it's there. But either way, God would be my only creator and my only understanding of all that is, even if there was multiple worlds. Now, the Bible clearly says, and Carlos Munoz, he came to our church for the Daniel revelation some years ago, like several years ago, and it was deep. It was so powerful. You could feel that room almost blast, and people in town were coming. Now, if they stayed off of the what you should eat and all this other stuff and trying to get their little cultivism mindset, no offense, Carlos, He came to me and told me it was too rough, and I'm like, yeah, stick on the road of God. Don't worry about what somebody has on their plate. God will figure it out himself, whatever it might be. People don't want to get rid of tons and tons of food just to try to fit into someone's club. That's just what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my thing is, even from that, God says the other worlds will be coming to judge or be at the table. Then they'll be coming from basically from the east to the west. Like, God's actually saying, hey, there's other people that saw the fall of this earth. Meaning there's other inhabitants, other living, everything going on. It's not to say God, but my thing is, and let me break this down for one person right now. It should take about 30 seconds. I'm not saying that there's multiple gods that control our God. And if that is, I would never know the difference anyway, Yep. But I'm saying, what I'm saying is...
That's why I see it too, because I'm like, there would be... All I see is detriment to that belief. Now, there could be...
There's other worlds.
A positive.
There's other worlds, though.
I get that, but I'm saying to your main foundation, because as a believer, that is the core of the faith, is that God is the Most High God. There is no other like him. So it could detriment that, and it could shift it. That's the only time.
There's other God. There will never be another God, because
Absolutely.
Like my characters, my humans, my people I'm the only God that they know. There will only be one of me. But I'm saying, like, from a human, sin, skin thing, I'm saying when it comes down to it, and don't let Hector get you guys off point. He's like a debater. So don't let it think that I'm going to get sword fought over here, because I know where it's coming from. So those of you who understand, this is what the conversation's about, but those of you who understand...
Hey, if it gets heated, it gets heated. I'm just saying.
Those of you who understand what I'm saying, before I lose the rest of my energy, I'm saying, like, when it comes down to it, regardless, there's other worlds.
Absolutely.
So when the fall of deception comes, a lot of people are going to fall for it, because they're like, man, I haven't seen nobody walk around here. There's always fake Christ and fake this. And when we hear the trumpets go, I still believe in the manifest of, basically, it's like a car's manual. Mm-hmm. Here's the Bible. Here's your manual to life. Here's a journey to how to live life when you're here. And when we go, we go. But when we go to sleep, we have other dimensions. I literally, the other night I got up, and it was probably like, it was like 8:30. I was getting to my Spanish there. 8:30, something like that. I think it was. And I was like, man, I didn't tell what was going on. I just was like, man, I just don't feel like I'm here. And I was like, it wasn't a sleep fog. I could physically feel. And I actually have a thing coming out about dimensions, portals, and gateways. God was revealing that to me. I was waking up with so much infinite knowledge, beloveds. So much knowledge that it was pouring out of me, like, those little memes you see with rainbow stripes and glitters coming out. I could not stop my brain from thinking it was like the most... Now, that is the best turn on and turn up ever in life, is to be high from God and high on God, okay? I'm just saying. You can't ever get in trouble for being too addicted to God. Obsession over, human stuff is different. But I thought about that. I'm like, you bring a part of the dimension back with you. Your spirit gets a chance to leave the vessel and rest. I truly believe the spirit, or the soul itself, rests when we are resting in the flesh. When we get a chance to wake back up, we feel the heaviness of it. That's why when we go on those portals and places, you notice you don't have the same pains. You can walk. You can experience things differently, because you don't have the human flesh that has fallen, the body itself, right? So I'm going to say this. Maybe it's the ending of my conversation, but the knowing, right? This is the knowing of part one. Maybe we'll just get into that again. But I do believe part one, or it just is the knowing. I do believe that there's more to the story. Not of God, but God, even God creating other gods, our creator of all things, creating other gods in other worlds.
Yeah,
so that's what I mean too. Like, on the other cusp of that, God saying, hey, don't worry about that. I got you. You're the world that fell. So it's like, well, he's saying other worlds, other places are going to come judge us. Now, I do believe these little suits and gray aliens and stuff like that are just suits of what really is beneath, but ultimately, we are hated upon. We are hated upon for the creation of what we are. It sounds so freaky, because we see so many movies depicting what we're living. Like, how can we live in a reality where we're just these beings on this earth? And a lot of our brothers and sisters, and I want to say Still Here Initiative, go check that out on realdoubledosechannel.com. Still Here Initiative, heard before heaven. Don't ever feel like you have to check out of this life too prematurely. God rest my sister's soul, Noelia, and different ones going through it right now as we speak. It could get so confusing. You're like, I'm here, don't know why I'm here, don't know why I got the family. If you're not on the journey of knowing yourself and the identity that God gave you and the God reconstruction only, that's the first and foremost. But don't ever feel like checking out of here is better. I'd rather know. The unknown is you don't know what's on the other side of that. And you don't know what your purpose and your mission is, and you're cutting it off beforehand. Or it could be by some kind of design. I just feel like at the end of the day, it is confusing when we have to get up and work and try to struggle from what man decided to do here. Make us struggle for $1. Literally, I was seeing someone say, hey, it's $14 for a watermelon. It's $40 for a bowl of cut up fruit at the store. It's like insane where you literally will have $100 worth of groceries and it'll look like it's $10. And how do you do that when you have to feed 4 or 5 people and pay bills? It's a trap for you not to know who you are because life was never designed that way. So I'm going to leave it here. Heck can take us there, but your girl is a little thirsty right now.
No, that's another good question too, actually.
I love you all.
Going based off of if everything is falsified, if everything is foxed, right? If everything is copied from God to the adversary, why was wealth made? Why was wealth made to be something that can be easily deceived, yet such a strong desire for so many people? And why is it even a concept of wealth?
You know what? I just came in my head. God put in my head, I believe. Wealth is Christ. It's like Christ is so chido. Christ is so on point. The whole embodiment of when you see gold and diamonds and pearls and jewels and trinkets and emeralds. God is such a heavenly, Christ is such a heavenly notion of just wealth in itself, of what the true wealth design is. It had to make us look like we always needed something to be that. It would rather go through the wide road, should I say, and make it look like something it isn't. That's why most billionaires and millionaires are super depressed. I mean, you think about that. What are you complaining about? You got everything, you got fame, you got this. No, you always tell, I had to sell my soul for some rock and roll, right? Quote, quote. So I believe that the true wealth transfer is they don't want to accept what Christ has to do for wealth. That's not wealth to them. Let's divide and conquer, Dividing and conquering is exactly what it is. If you make someone believe that's what it is, like that guy was, a lot of people did it, but it's a donut. It was like, there was a plain donut that you get from a normal donut shop. It was like maybe $1 or $2, probably $2.50 at this point. And then you had it on a simple little box. Hey, here you go. Okay, cool. And then you had another donut that was at a restaurant, was put a little bit more whipped cream and strawberries on it. And they could sell that donut for like $25. Here you go. But the one box they put, they put little gold flakes and made it look all boom and shebang. And it still was just a donut. But the way it was wrapped up and the presentation of them being excited, bringing it out like, whoo, look at this. Look at that. It was like, oh, $250 for that same donut almost. And that was the truth. And the guy was like, oh, you think it was a donut wrapped up and all this stuff? No, it was the experience. So what I look at from that is, it's like a golden ticket. Like, watch the movie The Island. I forgot who stars in there. It might have been Scarlett Johansson. I'm just saying, it was like the ticket. Now, God rest his soul, Michael Duncan Clark was in there. But it was like, oh, we're going to the island. I can't wait to get out of here. Cool. Living in these little things as replicas, whatever. Anyway, watch it. Go deep in your mind. Don't be distracted if you're going to watch. Just pick out what you can that's deep.
Clones.
Yeah, yeah. So we look at that, and that's what they make. Oh, the American Idol. Become the idol that people want, all right? And different ones, too, like the next star. It's like a ticket. It's like a lottery. Oh, win the lottery, play the lottery. They're doing all this to us in different ways. Like all these something box. They had something up there, all these surprise box or whatever. It's just, I don't know if it's still going on. It was happening today in June 22nd. And it's always a raffle or a stake. I got to get this. I got to get this ticket. I want to stand out. Like they had Entrepreneur of Impact. I entered that. It was fun. You know, I made placement like 10 or something. I think it was like 10 out of my whole group of people. And I think it might have been a couple hundred of people in there, maybe 50, I don't know. But the thing is, I didn't feel any different. I was like, well, if you're constantly looking for that high to stand out, and I get it, you're like, oh, I have to stand out my business, I have to stand out here so I can get traction. But honestly, maybe we should have more belief in what has created us, you know. So I look at that whole lottery system of wealth. People want you to see what wealth is. There's diamonds and trinkets and red carpets and nice cars and people oohing and eyeing, and you must have this. The reason why I want the physical wealth more so is to build what God has inside of me to do before I leave here on the flesh, and to also, you know, have more of a less headache, but also hella bless others. So I don't know. Maybe that was too long because I wanted to end it off with that. But no, it's not. It's True Seekers Mastermind Alliance. But what is your vision of wealth? I mean, that's the whole thing. Hector has to ask that question. You have to ask that question. Me, I ask myself, what is the vision of wealth? Me, is having a nice, long, delicious shower, having some comfortable, clean clothes, and being able to get to the mission. I'm so obsessed over what God has me to do. I can fall off track with some other projects to create more revenue or have fun with, but I'm so obsessed over it. There's nothing else I can think of, and I'm happy my mind is blotted like that. Other than that, you got to think outside the box and in. Are you trying to fit in with those who can't get in, or are you getting in with the one that says you're already in because you are a part of me? And that's pretty much what it is. Your version of wealth is either a Bugatti outside. And don't get me wrong, you can be a car enthusiast. You can be a person that loves to go see sightseeing and this and that, or collect yarn. There's nothing wrong with having something, as long as you don't worship it.
It's your own definition.
Yeah, but as long as you don't worship it more than you are praising God for the thankfulness of it.
Absolutely.
You know. But anyway, that's my cap. I love you all. If you hear me in the background, it'll be supporting his conversation. Boom.
Well, my conversation actually was more so just a bookmark question. I wasn't trying to go down that conversation of wealth. Mine was more so still around that topic of God, and because I wasn't done there. I still want to go back there.
That still was good.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Don't even discount it. Don't even try to discount it.
Not at all. But my mind is still there. I'm saying I can't go on this part. I'm still back there of thinking about it. You know, and we all have our own, just like we were talking about right now, to transition that a little bit backwards, is we do have our own beliefs. Everybody has your own beliefs. Your world, your reality is literally that, and it has to be so. It has to be so. Yes, you can and have to be equally yoked with your partner, but every single little person is a different expression of God. So not every single belief that we have is going to be the same, because other factors are in place that affect one belief, and other factors are in place that affect another belief. So it kind of molds into semi-truth in a way where we have micro beliefs that are semi-true, or that are just adjacent to what is true. We just don't have the knowledge of seeing that far into our personal lives of what true really is. So there's always going to be little things that they don't even affect the foundational beliefs, right? But regardless, it's still you. Like, there's some people that believe, especially whenever you go into entrepreneurs. Who was that one guy? That one guy was saying about how he believed something, and he was basically doing like a little interview. He said, I believe this, and even though anybody may not believe it, and even though you may look at me and say I'm crazy, that's my belief, and it works for me. Because we literally create our environments, we create our realities, not in hey, let me make this tree turn into this, which I believe we still have the power to do. And if we have the power to do that, why can't we create our own worlds? To the extent of what our beliefs are capped at and what we are capped at, that does not interfere with the overall will of God. So but God is our cap. So God is our cap, essentially. Because if it intervenes with the will of God of what is predestined, it cannot be. There are certain truths that are unshakable, even though we don't believe them. But there are others where God still gives it the malleability for our own individual realities. Because even whenever it comes to, there's a certain study that they did and found out, and I have no idea how they found out about it. I have no idea how they did this study, but it was in quantum physics where they figured out that a certain molecule or atom, it is in existence, but it does not decide what color it is until you look at it.
Absolutely.
So it's like it still essentially has life.
Absolutely. Everything has life because the Creator is life.
Yes. And in the same way, going back to Adam and Eve, we have dominion over it all. The world is ours, and we are Christ, and Christ is God.
That's true.
So we have such a directional path of taking whatever aspect of our life that we want and making sure that we utilize it. And I believe that that's actually one of the biggest issues. And I spoke about that actually my last episode of HVH, was the fact that I'm not to the full-blown strength. And I think I found the reason why, of my belief systems, where I can and where I want to be. Because that's one of my biggest things, is having that unshakable faith in God all the way around, to where there's no stone left unturned, to where walking on water could even be possible. And that is something that I believe. So many people listening to this right now will immediately discount that. And they'll say it's not possible.
I mean, but you have...
And if it's not possible, how did Christ do it? How did Peter do it? You have
the possibility right now of it happening. It's already happened. So, even if he's not wishing this conversation to be, for my little moment to say, if you close your eyes, and this is going to be some of the practices that I do with the upcoming conversations, because I'll be doing some governmental things, hopefully to extend them, helping in the back end, or at least some funding to do what needs to be done. But if you close your eyes right now, I'm not saying to do that. I don't know if you're taking care of the kids or taking the dog for a walk or the elderly or whatever you're doing. But if you get to a point, even if you daydream with your eyes open and you see yourself sitting there fantasizing, and people fantasize about a relationship with someone they met for a week and hurt their whole family. It's been noted, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if you see yourself right now, even from the realms of walking on water, you can walk on water. So the thing is Jesus was transferring the mindset of the imagination into this realm as well. Mm-hmm. Because what it say? So it is as it above and below. So if you look at that, you're like, man, right now, if I told you to go see a mountain peak and a beautiful, robust thing, and there's a big grizzly bear coming at you, you might not feel the adrenaline right away, depending on where you could put your imaginational faith. But right now, as I'm saying it, I see a big grizzly far off by the water eating some trout or some salmon. Like, I see that happening. You can see it right now. And if you really engulf yourself in it, you can do it. Like, you hear meditational music, all that. So in a cusp, just to back up what Hector was saying.
Well, they even have, what is it called? Where they astral project. They astral project and they literally find information. So now there is actually, if you look up Project Stargate from the CIA government files, there's actually information about how CIA and different areas of government branches, they went and sought people that had gifts to astral project.
Absolutely.
And who have practiced it through divination, of course. And
through divination,
there's people that do it within God, and there's people that do it within divination.
Naturally.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it scared the bejeebers out of me when it was happening, and I was praying to God to help me come back from that. Well, I'm just saying. I know some of you are like, well, I didn't do that. I'm like, we're not accusing you. Trust me. Because I had to ask that too. I'm like, what do you mean? But then I'm like, oh, okay. That's for the ones who have to call upon something that isn't the power, that tries to mimic the power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's rituals that you can do to get to do that, and that's not what we're encouraging it on. We're not even encouraging the fact of wanting it, but there are certain gifts that are outside of the scope of what is believed to have. So they go and they have those people essentially project themselves into enemy lines that have hidden governmental facilities to gain certain information, to have certain type of knowledge, to learn a certain gameplay or something, whatever it is that they use it for.
They're still capped. Though.
And so now they're hiring basically other psychics that protect you from that. Because there was actually one guy he was giving his testimony about it, about how he went and he was astral projecting, and he tried going into, I believe it was Area 51. And there was like these spiritual presences that were blocking the entrance to it in that realm. So his spirit couldn't go into there. It was almost like spiritual security guards. So they get more psychics or astral projectors, to give it the simplest names, into combating it. So there is so much outside of this physical nature that we see, touch, feel, hear. These are all external senses. But whenever we're in that space, we have senses that are beyond what we currently have. Yeah. And we still have, or that are just suppressed. Because even whenever it comes to vibrations, we can feel vibrations. If someone walks in the room, we can feel that the room tense up if that person comes in angry. So we have those spiritual feelings that are outside the quote-unquote senses.
Yeah. I mean, I felt so many things. I remember I questioned myself earlier, and I was like, man, why do I have... I mean, like, I wasn't... and for prophets and prophetess and people who believe that I see people say the oracle, and they have it with such a lightweightness of what they feel, but their belief system is where they are. For me, it's like I've always asked not to have those things. But astral projection is something deep when God gives it to you, the natural, the innate gifts that you have. But it's deep. Absolutely.
I had it happen to me one time by accident. And I was scared. I was scared because I wasn't, like, I saw my body. I was looking at my body down from the corner of my room. And I'm like, no, get off of me. Wake up. I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm scared of heights. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I just didn't like it. And that was like the only time it happened to me. But it's the same thing whenever you go and you get sleep paralysis. Whenever you're in that in-between realm of being able to encounter spirits, being able to see spirits, seeing in that spiritual eye of ours.
See, but that's the whole thing. I mean, and some people, I don't know about everybody else, but me, I feel that all day long. I don't even have to get into a zone for that. And it's very heavy. It's so hard to explain what you deal with and what you are and still put a name on it. And surround yourself with people who can maybe not understand you, but have the grace and respect to understand what you carry. Because it's heavy enough when you know who I'm talking to out there, if you know who I'm talking to. It's heavy enough to not know where it comes from and what's going on a different level. You know where it comes from, but you're still trying to navigate it. For me, I would sit there on this edge. But here's the thing. I would always have to sit on the edge of the end of the bed. And most times, the edge of something. And I would sit there and just be in a moment, and it just hits you. It's right there. I mean, literally going through conversations, people arguing with their loved ones at a dining table or at a restaurant. It was just, I'm like, what is going on? But then you realize, I'm like, can they hear you too? So I do believe that those people are going to be gathered up by some kind of outside other forces. But
it's okay.
Steakhouse.
So I mean, it's just a lot of conversations that we can have, but to solidify where I stand with that, I've waited whenever it comes to God potentially having somebody over him in a way, and the conclusion that I came to for my own reasons and my own quote-unquote shut-offness is that it would only detriment my belief system. So I mean, I could see where it could be a positive in the sense of more so understanding, okay, well, that means it makes it easier for me to understand what Christ was trying to teach in the sense of we are in the kinship of Christ. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we have that royal authority. Therefore, we have more access to that authority within our belief system. So absolutely, that could be a positive. But regardless, I believe either way, we wouldn't have a way of completely discounting it, which I think, there's still discounts like the scriptures that I mentioned, but there would be absolutely no way for us to confirm it.
Maybe it's never meant to be confirmed.
Absolutely.
I mean, either way, no matter how far you go or how low you go or where you want to go, it's still the beauty that you can have that. And for the kingdom of heaven is within. Mm-hmm. And you think about that. Well, the resurrection, I'm like, yeah, we still have to live out this life sentence. Is this a life sentence? Once the fall of man came, it's still the beauty. It's still the purgatory. It's still the feelings of what we go through, the chaos, the madness. Yep. And some say they feel like they're living in hell right now and they're waiting for heaven. But the thing is God tells us, Christ tells us, in the name of all that is blessed, that we can have all those things that we want right now if we simply go into the heaven within. Because even though we can't touch it in the flesh, the spirit is already there.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that. So maybe we'll have a part 2 to this.
Oh, we're going to keep expanding on it because, we got to do more.
The knowing, everybody.
We'll pull up that Project Stargate too in the next one if we have
to. Hashtag the knowing.
Go straight into different knowings. But one thing we also want to do on TSMA too is speak to those people. Speak to even people that have, like, there's certain tribes in Africa where they can go and do a certain ritual, pray to certain deities, and they choose the sharpness of a sword. So they can choose when it cuts or not. So they went and they did that, and they showed it was like razor sharp to where he just slashed a little bit and it cut a blade of grass. And then he went and put it up to this one guy's neck and sawed, and he didn't get a cut at all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
With that same blade in that same frame. So, it's interesting to even see those. And I think those are some of the things that we also do need to see and explore so that we can start to more so fulfill our faith in what we were given the authority to do, even if it comes to raise the dead. Because I have not heard of that miracle happen since Acts, I've
heard of it myself, though.
Yeah.
I've seen some things happen where someone literally took their last breath, and a lot of people have conversations from that, but not necessarily someone. I've seen it, but I haven't seen it out here where someone will raise them from it. I've seen the power of God work through people to bring them back to their heart starts beating and getting that. But a lot of those people, just like that Tai Chi master, a lot of them have to go undercover because they're real quick to get snuffed out. Yep. And I believe a lot of them are faked to be dead. There were people just snuff them out to try to force them to be utilized for their evil power instead of just taking them out. But it could be either or. So the sun is already went down, and it's beautiful right now. But, in order for me to keep my spiritual energy going up, I am going to say sweet dreams, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Blessed be everything that you're facing, you're going through, you're smiling about, your circumstances, and just know that you have an escape route, and that is going within the self and connecting with God and getting to that place where you feel the solidity of all that is. So this is your girl Lexus T. I'm going to let Hector sign you out. This is True Seekers Mastermind Alliance on the Real Double Dose channel.
Y'all be blessed. Stay safe. Stay blessed from the Most High.
Amen.
Blessed beyond measure. And y'all have a blessed one.
And we'll see you on the flip side.
Blessings. How much times can I say blessed? All right. Have a good one.
Love you.